thank you so much. It's got my mind going, and I can see some of the comments in chat. It's certainly got people thinking. Debrief. I don't know how many times you said debrief is the most important, and I'm thinking, I wonder if that's the thing that we tend to do least in corporate world, in business world. You know, if we've got our listening ears on, we should be definitely taking stuff from that.
Absolutely. I agree. I've been with, I went into the questions, but absolutely, I've been with people that said, oh, whether it's it's a group of lawyers or something who've told me that they finished the deal and that's it. They've a beer and gone home. Nobody stopped and debrief. So I absolutely agree. It's always forgotten a lot of times.
No new display until we've debriefed the one we've just got. You know, we will not carry on doing it. We've got to get better. We want to keep improving. No, it's come out. The other thing, again, there's some comment in chat there, which I get the feeling that we, again, I'm not speaking beyond where I should do, but we jump right into tactics, where you've talked so much about the amount of planning you do up front, the debrief later. We get fascinated with tactics and get all excited about doing the do. You're saying, no, it's all thinking beforehand, and then learning afterwards, which is amazing. I mean, that I think there's a whole piece in there about the trust, flying off voice. Wow, maybe just hearing it.
Yeah, you're right. You brought out the key concept there. Absolutely, that really, again, we do. How often do we just jump into the tactic? We're going to do this, and no one's considered all of those things before. I mean, and it doesn't have to be military. It could be such a simple, what seems a simple task in a commercial deal or whatever. Well, before we even do think, right, what do we want to achieve from it? Let's set our aims and objectives. What are our limb facts before we start? Exactly. Before we know it, people always go, right, we're going to do this. We'll set off on this time. Before you know it, it's gone. I mean, you'll know from the rugby world as well. You need to have a game plan, and that game plan needs to be, right, who are we playing today? We're playing Wasps today. Well, they might have a completely different plan, or play a different style than Harlequins do. So your tactic, you've got to consider those things before you have your tactic. And yes, the trust thing as well. Absolutely. I'm not just in the red arrows, but in that trust to put up your hand and say, hey, I can't do this. I've got some information here. Look, this can't happen without that. But it just comes very much to the fore in the red arrows. Yeah.
Yeah. No, really interesting. Really interesting. I'm not sure what Suchi would say about the selection procedure. 2 loops in a roll. That's it. You're in or you're out. I don't think that would be consistent with what she was talking about. But it's interesting why you were saying that, and that even the first one could have been terrible. But have you learned from it? Can you then do something off the back to get better?
Yeah, that's right. It is, but it's also done that way as well. But at the end of the day, it is a selection procedure. It's not an attendance thing. I mean, everyone that attends there is a professional pilot. They can fly, and that's why it's hard. And by the time people have got to the shortlist, it's a good enough process to say, look, they've got to the shortlist. Pretty much everyone on the team would probably be happy to have anyone, but you need to have one more step there to see, and that's the way it's been done. Absolutely, it's pretty cutthroat in that respect, but it is one of the ways that you need to go down another layer there to get the people on, and that's a proven way of doing it.
Yeah, and the stuff you said about root cause, again, there are so many learning points in this. I mean, me personally, I really hope everybody else has taken as many notes and things that they can pick up on in that, both for myself and that I can pass on in training. Another big one, the contingencies, the what ifs. Yeah, you mentioned rugby. I think that's not one of the reasons why England won the World Cup 2003. He said very cognizant that there's an Australian guest as the next speaker. I got your rank, Ron. I might as well upset Dan Priestley as well while I'm at it. I've pretty much upset every single person, every guest. They'll never talk to me again. But there was a question linked to this. I don't know if you can answer it. I'll ask, and again, you'll know whether you can. Has it ever not gone to plan? And what was the recovery to fix it? I don't know if you're allowed to talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, things have. It has all the time. The reason why some of these larger big missions that we've done, the type of into real time is not been going on at the moment. The type of operations that we do is a different sort of scenario. But the reason why we train and do these exercises many times during the year is to find that out. And absolutely, things have gone drastically wrong. Now, that's the point about safety. That is where, even on a big exercise like this, very complicated thing, and even if we were going to fly that in a real scenario, wartime scenario, you would still have to present your plan to the general at the end and say, is it fundamentally safe? Because that's where you would say, right, if it's ultimately what you don't want to happen is aircraft flying into one another. And one of the best ways of achieving deconfliction of that is to have everyone at different altitudes. And that's one thing that, if that is rock solid, you can fall back on. And that is where, if it all goes completely wrong, we know that people are flying around at altitudes where they are not going to collide with one another. And yeah, for us, something has gone completely wrong. Now, the general may allow the exercise to go forward. He might know deep down in his eye, said, that tactic is absolute rubbish. He can say in his mind, said, it's not going to work. But if it's safe, he can allow it to go ahead, because at the end, his point can be proven and said, right, we screwed up in this area here. This didn't work, this didn't work, this didn't work, because your tactic was wrong. It was safe, so nobody died or anything like that. And again, that helps the learners come back and say, God, that was awful. So it can be really good learning to let something go ahead like that. So long, that's where even on operational training, so long as the safety chain is there, then it can go ahead. But it is very difficult. If something doesn't go to plan, it then just proves the point that the bigger point, they say, well, okay, we didn't brief the contingencies enough. We didn't brief, right? If that went wrong, if we lost all our radars, we lost all the surveillance, we didn't have a plan in force. So then it was just every man for himself, or every person, every man, woman, sorry, for themselves. And that might be the only point, the point that we didn't talk about contingency. So you can see it feeds into itself. Yeah. So it has, I can't specifically say something, but things have gone wrong. And it's just every person for themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we've got another couple of minutes and we'll just carry on straight into that, if that's okay. But I mean, you start off talking about the commander's intent. And again, if I understand this correctly, that's the big boss. He's saying, this is what we need to do. This is what we want to achieve ultimately. It's then passed down and you guys work out how that's going to be. Yeah. You decide what's going to make it work. And as long as it's in line with that, aligned to what they're thinking, that's all good. And if I've understood this, because I've heard people speak about this before, it also means that you can make decisions in the moment that, oh, actually, something's gone wrong, but in my contingency, I am going to do that. And it's still getting us to achieve what it is we're ultimately trying to do. Is that part of the whole commander's intent piece?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. The commander himself can't get into exactly. He's got his big picture aim. He's thinking in that grand strategic plan, because the mission that we're flying might be achieving that destruction of the enemy communications node that I was talking about. That fits with his intent, because he's thinking in 3 weeks' time, when he's going to be at a different stage of the battle, he needs to be in this area of ground, and he needs that communication node to be taken out for him to get there. So he's thinking already down there. So exactly that, his intent, because you may even say, look, I don't want to destroy it. I want that to just be degraded, because he knows that in 3 weeks' time, I need to harness off the remnants of that communication node to help rebuild the country or whatever, or the area that we're in. So I might need to utilize some of that. So I don't want it destroyed. So yeah, that's right. And then he has got to have faith in his commanders below him that they will achieve the task within his content. So to say what wouldn't be right is that he said, I want this to happen. This is my intent. And the mission risk is this. To say it was low risk. And then if his subordinates just start being kamikaze and go through every barrier that we've erected to ensure that risk, and we've lost all of our friendly forces that day, well, that has gone completely against his intent. And the fault would lie with the commanders on the day that did that. And they would not have been actioning the plan with his intent and mission risk.
Wow. It's so much for us that we can translate, so knowing where we need to be, where we're going, we can make decisions around that. Planning is coming across loud and clear. I'm not even sure I realize how much the debrief and the fact that you've underlined that 4 times, actually, that is the most important thing. That's where your learning is going to happen. That's what's going to make us better. So yeah, I'm note to self, get better on debriefs and train people in you win loss. And there's so many ways that translates into sales. So Yeah, plenty of learning.
Great.
Zane, thank you so much. I do appreciate that you're on holiday and try not to think about some of this stuff for a couple of weeks.
No,
Not
brilliant.
necessarily sure you're going to be on holiday when you're committed to do this. So a lot, mate, I appreciate you carrying on doing it.
Thank you.
And I owe you a beer, and I'll see you again soon.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Take care. Thank you so much.